What would be a piece of advice that you would give to someone who's just starting out?
I would say, embrace the ability to say no to opportunities. And I know that that might sound a little bit strange at first. I think when you're first starting out, especially if you're first starting out in academia as a graduate student, or even if you're first starting out in academia with your own independent research, there are usually a lot of opportunities. There are lots of abilities to collaborate and, work with people and so on. And yes, as I said, collaboration is really important, but I think you also have to be a little bit strategic and focus on what you want your goals to be. Ultimately, know on where you want to go and what direction you want to take things. I think even administratively, the same thing applies. There'll be lots of responsibilities. There's usually more work than there are good people to do the work. And as a result, you can easily end up also doing a lot of that work. But I think being strategic, doing things that you really have a passion about, and taking on responsibilities that you really have a passion about, taking on research collaborations that you really can see working out and that you really can build a lasting relationship with persons. It's easy to have multiple collaborations when they're all over in a year. And maybe you get a publication, maybe you don't. But I think if you have those kind of lasting collaborations where you can really do deep work over several years, then those I have found to be really fruitful, working with individuals that you can really build up almost a body of work together. And then you kind of almost establish yourselves as experts in the field collectively. Or maybe the person's an expert in the field from the time you start the collaboration. But I think, having the ability to discern and recognize those things and maybe say no to some of the earlier opportunities.
Like you say, I think it's interesting thinking about that academic network. I know from principally whilst in academic societies as well as through more academic social media, the amount of relationships that are very early days still, but are still, you can see, are growing very quickly into what could be productive relationships. And you think, surprising to think where these various areas can come from. I know this conversation has come about through our mutual work with the Society for Experimental Biology as an example, and working on a cross-institutional project myself with other people from the same society. It's this. We recently had a paper published together as an example. So different things like that you can have where there's all that collaboration. But like you say, I think that the key point to pull out is that strategic overarching aim, because it's so easy in academia to go down so many avenues and then you look like you are very indecisive because you look like you're going this way, and you could do that quite easy.
Yeah.